Don't laugh. Don't make a noise.
I'm laughing.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the United in Movement world. 4 days into the 7-day competition. My name is Rory McKernan. I have a very special treat. Feels like a throwback. One of them's already raised his blue hand. If you're a Zoom user, you know that means he's obviously got something to say. I am joined by Josh Bridges, Dan Bailey, and Rich Froning. They call themselves the good dudes when they're all together. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up, bro?
I feel like I've gotten a lot of Rich and some Dan time. So Josh, first and foremost, how you doing? And how's the kind of quarantine treating you?
Oh man, I'm doing good, brother. Like, life has not changed almost at all, except for the fact that my kids don't have sports. But I don't leave my house very often anyways, so life is pretty normal for me. I'm a quarantine type of guy, I guess. So
you like your space. Yeah, actually, that's one thing I myself.
The mustache wouldn't give that away.
Speaking of, we were talking about it a bit. The cameras are rolling, but Dan Bailey, what's up with the upper lip, bro?
So things at work have changed a little bit. Josh said things haven't changed a whole lot for him. Things have changed a lot for us over at Rogue Fitness. So the gym was shut down, obviously, because of everything going on. So everybody's lending a hand in the warehouse where they can certain days of the week. And when the CDC or the government or somebody mentioned that facial masks may need to be added into the daily routine of people going to work and things like that, a group of us decided to, if you're going to have a good seal around the chin, you got to get everything below the lip out of there. And we all decided to start rocking mustaches to boost morale a little bit while we're doing the work back there. So,
Rich, Josh, can you pull it off?
This is my first one.
First mustache, huh?
It's my first mustache.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, you're doing okay, man. I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm a fan.
I don't know if I am yet either. I haven't decided yet. Every time I see myself in the morning.
look good.
Thank you, Josh. You're good.
Rich, you can
It's kind of
appreciate
dark.
this.
I can't really see it.
I had to go to our local bank today, First National Bank, and
Yeah.
I had the kids with me, had the wife with me, and we all rolled up with face masks to the bank. I'm like to sign paperwork, so I actually had to go into the lobby, and I was like, "This is probably the only time I'm going to do this and get away with it."
You should have wore a bandana. That's what you should have done.
the kids were. It was an actual bandana.
Nice. I can't believe you're wearing a mask in Cookeville, Tennessee.
It's recommended, bro.
Oh,
Hey,
right.
Here's actually, you know what? I don't know if you guys knew this or if you, it was really just an announcement he made, but after you all, I'm speaking to the one and only Chris Spealler, is
Nice.
now recovering from COVID-19.
What?
I
didn't know that.
I think it's
that.
fake news.
Fake news. I heard.
He's the one that's promoting it, but he said, yeah, man, it was pretty, you should go watch his Instagram live, and then I'm going to interview him here. But he and Sarah both had like a really hard time with it. They're like 4 weeks into recovery.
I was going to say, was he the one running the ventilator? I feel like he's got to do that.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, if anybody, I thought
scary.
it was an interesting wake-up call, right? An interesting wake-up call.
Sure.
So here's a question. You guys have been providing online training in each of your separate spaces a number of years now, but I'm interested to hear, like, what has this done for, like, in terms of business, good, bad, or indifferent? Have you guys seen fluctuations, people asking for different things, people reaching out and ask questions? Like, how has that landscape changed?
Or dumbbell stuff for me. I'm
Josh,
sure these guys are the same. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh. No, I'm new to
Go
this.
ahead, Rich, you finished.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot more dumbbell stuff for us personally. I've been trying to do the workouts with our members in the morning, and also we've been doing some quarantine type workouts on our YouTube channel. And they are, my heart rate is very high all the time, I feel like, and they're miserable. But it goes to show you don't need a ton of equipment to stay fit or to get, good workout in, which has been pretty cool to see that. I feel like, over the years, all of us have leaned a little bit more towards the heavier stuff just because you feel like that's what you need to do. And so it's been kind of cool to come back and see, hey, maybe you don't need to lift a heavy barbell, to get some good fitness in. And it's been good to work on some imbalances as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been the same for me. Like, you know, for the programming that, you know, online and stuff like that, hasn't really, I think some people have put their accounts on hold and stuff like that, which isn't a big deal. Like, it is what it is. People don't need to be paying me for a pro can't use, but we have also, it's the same thing. You know, we started offering a lot more like limited equipment, limited time. Well, you don't really have limited time, but limited equipment type of programming, I guess. Yeah. And
work out all day.
no, it's been, yeah, exactly. Work out more, but with less. So it's been cool. And exactly, it's something that like I've had to deal with throughout the years with, you know, going on traveling a lot. You know, you have to deal with that kind of stuff anyways. And so it's kind of been easy to just share that knowledge and help other people out who haven't had to deal with it and always have that gym or that coach that programs for them. So it's been really cool.
Yeah. There's been more interest in, obviously, hey, how can I adapt this to, I only have one dumbbell. How can I adapt this workout to here? How can I, you know, do those different kind of things? So when I started, I had to make bumpers out of spare tires and a wall ball out of a basketball filled with sand. So, you know, being able to share some of that with everybody, being able to share that with people, like if they really, really can't, you know, afford a sandbag, can't get a hand on some kind of weight, you know, you can use the milk jugs, the antifreeze bottles, you know, anything you can use, a cinder block or something like that to just move some weight around. So I've also been trying to put out just a free body weight workout every day to mix it up a little bit. And that's actually been a fun challenge because there's only so many push-ups, air squats, and flutter kicks and sit-ups that you can program. You know, you got to get kind of creative in how you mix and match those things and try to find new movements to do. So that's actually been a fun part of it, trying to get somebody working out and moving in that respect where you're just submitted on what you can do and how creative can you get.
Yeah, for sure. Rich, we're kind of joking and saying, yeah, okay, well, with being alone, but your Instagram was hilarious today with the like all by myself, and your mood was sort of like feeling lonely.
Yeah, we did. That was when was that? I guess it was last week. It was just me in the gym, and it's just big, empty, you know, whatever, 20 facility. And Dre, or I think it was Ben that was actually filming it. And I don't even know what was going through my head at that time. And I was like, Dre, you've got to add, you know, because licensing wise in the YouTube video, it's a different song. But I was like, do all by myself. And it's pretty, I mean, it's just the way it is right now. You know, it's all kind of in that situation right now. It's tough to get motivated. And that's, I think, what all three of us are really trying to do, to keep people moving, try to keep people motivated. It's hard when you're by yourself. But that's, you know, we're trying to do some of these videos we do in the afternoon on YouTube. And then, you know, some of our M30 stuff is just to get people moving and to, I don't know, feel some connectivity with people through video. I know a lot of other gyms are doing that and doing Zoom classes and stuff like that. So it's good.
Address that child. Man, she's I love her discretion, you know. She's chill. She's downtown.
Yeah, she's wanting to switch.
Give me that.
I don't know what she's doing. So
give me that.
Rich in particular, and Josh and Dan can speak to this as well. But obviously I'm here and I've got a lot of access to Mayhem and I follow this. You guys have chosen to make, like, when there's a premium on, I'm sure, people coming to the website and people coming to the online training, but you guys have chosen to make a lot more things free.
Yeah, I think it's just we're just in this together. I mean, you know, a lot of people are, I mean, they don't have an income right now, so we figured, you know, let's make it free for an extended period of time here. Get people, you know, as many people as we can moving. That's really what it's about right now, and it's kind of this whole United in Movement thing that's going on. Is like, hey, we're all in this together, and let's, you know, it's not a time to be, you know, making money off of people. You know, we could charge a little bit of money and make some money because a lot of people are doing no equipment workouts, and so just it doesn't feel right, you know. So I think these guys are doing a lot of similar stuff, giving a lot of people are giving away free content. Because like I said, that's what the CrossFit community is about, and they've done us so much that I think it's our turn to give some back too.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Same. Yeah. I mean, exactly. We've been given so much in our sport and in the CrossFit community. Why not give back in a time when everyone needs that? Everyone needs that little bit of push, that little bit of help, whether it's, a free workout or just some stupid little motivational quote that, maybe it sounds stupid to you, but some people get something out of it. I know Rich likes
I love a good motivational quote.
Typically why I put him up is for Rich, because I know he's struggling right now.
When I wake up in the morning, I just Google motivational quotes to get me through the day. That's my that's mo.
I was gonna third everything these guys said except for the motivational quote part, but it's also it's good to it's good to see the free content going out. It's good to see all those things and being able to get people moving and those kind of things, because what you see happening, worldwide is your fitness really is a hedge against sickness, right? So, we always talk about that continuum of overall health, and the fitter you are, the better off you are when sickness and when things strike like this. So, I can attest to that, the past 2 years of being injured and things like that, being fit helped me through those circumstances, helped me heal faster, help, get back on my feet better. And I think, I'm sure Chris will probably attest to this in your next interview, even though I'm sure it was really hard for him. It sounds like if he's had it, he's recovering and he's doing well. And I know that's not, up to everybody, but overwhelmingly, if you can keep moving, keep yourself in some form of fitness and keep yourself in good shape, I think you're better off to handle what life throws at you.
Yeah. I can't wait to catch up with him, like I said, but it was one of his points. He was like, he used it as a double-edged sword. He was like, look, obviously this population, meaning like the CrossFit space or fit people, are going to have an easier time with it, but don't trip and think that none of us can be touched by it, because, I'm living proof of that. And he's, Rich, you can sympathize as well, and Josh as well. He's in a house with a wife and 2 kids, and it was interesting to hear how he had to navigate. He lived downstairs and played out the sickness, switched with Sarah when she got sick, and she went down, and he went to the kids. And
wow. I can't even imagine having kids. Just having 2 parents and being outnumbered is not fun, let alone one parent and being outnumbered. I can't imagine, and especially worrying about, infecting others. And that would just, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Is like just not knowing like who you accidentally get around and maybe spread it to. Like, even if if you don't get affected by it, it's like maybe you don't struggle with the actual symptoms or the sickness, but the people that you contact, by chance could. So
yeah, without a doubt. This may seem like a weird pivot, but Josh, I haven't checked in with you in a long. Obviously you're at the Classic. I've talked to Rich and Dan about this, but the complete scattering of the CrossFit Games season was tough on a bunch of people. I'm interested to get kind of your take on that for athletes who this really shook up their livelihood and where they were going, and then also hear kind of where your head's at in terms of competition for yourself.
Yeah, this is crazy, right? I think not having sports for me is the hardest part of all of this, right? I don't have anything to watch. My kids' sports are canceled. I'm like, man, this is terrible. So, for me, it didn't really affect me. 2020 wasn't a super big priority for me because of my elbow surgery in November, and my knee's really still kind of coming back, giving me trouble every once in a while when I really push hard. So 2020 wasn't really an end goal. So if the 2020 games don't happen, it's not, for me, it's not a big deal. For a lot of people, that is terrible. People put so much effort and so much time and so much of their, they dedicate so much to their sport, and then it just, gets pulled away. But there's, for professional athletes, it's there's always next year, right? At some point, this is going to come to an end. It doesn't matter. This will end and we'll get past it and we'll move on and sports will come back. For what I feel bad for are like the college athletes, right? Their senior year who didn't get to play their final season. Like, man, I wrestled, and so I have the wrestlers near and dear to my heart. And it's like those kids literally, they were 2 weeks away from the national tournament and they just canceled it. And you're like, and they're like, winter sport athletes aren't getting another year of eligibility. You're like, man, that's so, and basketball. And just rough for those kind of people. You know, for professional athletes, we're gonna come back. And it's gonna be there next year, hopefully. You know, but yeah, for me, it's not that huge of a deal. You know, like I'll get past this and I'll look for 21, and you know, the fact that I did 100 pull-ups 2 days ago, and I think I have rhabdo in my arm, it's not a big deal. You know,
you're good, dude.
I'm where I want to be.
Shake it off.
Go row a little bit. Row a marathon. I'll get rid of it.
Yeah, there you go. Just your arms.
Little voodoo floss, you'll be fine.
I got 2 elbows. It's not a big deal.
That's right.
Well, so when you think our mutual friend Dave Castro recently, he posted what I would call maybe some inflammatory little pokes. A couple of Rich was one of them. I think you guys were included in that. Is
Dave?
Is the Masters anywhere on anyone's conversation? Why or why not?
It's not something a priority for me. I would probably rather go to team and have fun with friends at that point in my career. You know, individually, if I'm not making it to the open, to the individual side, then at that point, I think I'm ready to step away from individual else. So it's not like it's, for me, Masters I've never had any draw to it, and it has nothing to do with, I think that the Masters athletes, you know, anything about that. I think what those guys do and what those men and women do are phenomenal, and they're in great shape, and it's you know, good on them, but it's just not for me. It's not.
Yeah, understood.
I was getting ready to do Nope. You want to go, Rich?
Nope. Go ahead.
I was getting ready to do I was going to do a team event with Christy Eramo, her husband, and Jen San Diego there for the West Coast Classic. So I was actually getting ready to, you know, have a first team event and have that experience for, you know, attempting to make teams or something like that. So that's actually what I would probably prefer to do rather than Masters as well. You know, the amount of time that it takes to go individual and those kind of it's a bear in itself. And like, I haven't been super healthy over the past 2 years. And every time I try to wind up and swing hard at training again, something else pops up. So look at it, I'm starting to prioritize my health a little more than I am about, you know, CrossFit Games glory. So the team thing would definitely interest me more than doing.
So Rich, I think he's saying the team is easier.
That's what I heard. You know, I heard that you don't have to train as hard to be on a team.
You've said team's easier on your game. So
mental game, physical game, not quite
physical
the same.
Game, no.
Yeah, you know, I'll compete or a master, I guess would be the correct term. But not as an individual ever again. It's just not something I ever want to do. And it's not the fact that it's Masters level. It's just that I don't want to compete as an individual anymore. So I'm really happy where I'm at.
How far are you away from it anyways? What are you, like 3 years?
You got like 4 years?
2 years, man.
Yeah.
2 years, man.
20, aren't you 29 or even 30 yet?
I wish. I wish.
I'll be in the next age bracket.
You'd be aged out, man.
I think on Thursday I'm in the next age bracket on Thursday.
Are you 40?
Yeah, I feel like it.
No, man, I'll be 33. Get off my back.
Oh,
they take your biological age.
So, dude, I remember 33 was my prime.
Yeah, 33. I had my best CrossFit Games year ever at 33.
Are we talking chronological age or like miles? You know, like
no, it's gonna be biological.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm over 250,000 miles. I guarantee that.
You guys can go to the 60 plus.
I've got that high mileage oil.
You haven't but you haven't had the engine replacement and new training like Josh and I have.
I had I believe I had a flat tire.
Yeah. You've had some.
You got a flat, yeah. That was like an.
I had to patch it.
Right. You had to replace that tire, bro. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's about to. I might be there sooner than. Might be as you there,
Josh and I's check engine light comes on every time we walk out in the garage.
Oh, I throw a code every time I wake up. Yeah. Every time I wake up, I have like an O2 sensor or something.
Yeah,
that goes
something's
bad.
there.
Like I said, until you have to roll out of bed and go into a hot shower to still get not have aches. Man, don't talk to me, okay? All right.
I've taken this before I go work out now.
I've gotten a crick in my neck by trying to roll over using my head, use my arms. Does that count?
Pretty good. It's a start.
All bad signs. All bad signs. Josh, well, Dan, I know you got one too. Rich might have one, but I see that can in the frame here. I want to know good dudes, but I know we've got a product release, and I want to talk about that. But tell me kind of like what's Good Dudes doing, because Rich has opened a stinking coffee shop, which is awesome, at Mayhem, and I want to know like how's the brand going, and tell me about this new product.
Yeah, man, it's going great. Like we got 4 different coffees to choose from. Virgin, great coffees. You can get a subscription, so it's constantly shipped to you however much coffee you need. And then we have the release of the can. It's this is something that we found.
You can get it in the can.
Yeah, you can get it in the can. Exactly. So this is something we found. We basically reached out to this company called Elemental Beverage Company. Yep. Elemental Beverage Company. There it is. Rich knows better than I do because he loves this stuff. I'm not a cold coffee kind of guy. I love hot coffee. Be amazing, and that's why I was able. I'm okay with releasing it. It's definitely something I would drink, and you can actually heat it up. You can pour it into a cup and heat it up if you want to. But it's called snap chilled, and so it's actually brewed hot and then immediately chilled, so that it kind of locks in the flavor, so it doesn't have that bitterness that cold brew typically has. And so
does it have the kick that cold brew usually has?
The kick, bro. Yes, yeah. All Good Dudes coffee does. It's all the pre-workout you ever need in your life.
This stuff is jet fuel in a can. Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
So kind of the idea was when we started this whole deal, I wasn't huge into coffee. Wasn't really my thing. And then I found out I liked cold coffee. And so I was using that cold wave pitcher. And because I realized I don't really like cold brew. So cold brew and snap chill coffee are 2 completely different things. You hear kids yelling in the background. And so I've got this snap chiller pitcher off of Amazon. And from there, this same company, the Elemental Beverage Company, they make cans. So once I post about the cold wave pitcher, they found out and then said, hey, let us send you some of these cans of coffee. So then we made the connection between the two. Because like Josh said, I don't necessarily not like cold brew, but I like hot coffee. It's fresh and then flash chilled. But the problem is most of the time, if you get hot coffee and they make it iced, all they do is chuck ice in it and it waters it down. Nobody wants that because then it's weak. And so this snap chiller is a pretty cool substitute too. If you can't get to the can thing, can't get it in the can. That's where it kind of all started from there. And so the company reached out, and then Josh made those connections, and now we got it in the can.
And we got it in the can.
You guys, yeah.
Good Dudes in a can, and it's dropping tomorrow, I believe. We're oh
wow,
it's like 98% that it's dropping tomorrow. So yeah,
I mean it's better than 95%. That's fantastic, man. I'm glad we got all our ducks in a row before we came on here.
Exactly.
Let's just say it's dropping tomorrow. It's dropping tomorrow.
I don't want to disappoint if it doesn't. There's a 2% chance.
I get it.
That's all that 1 in a million talk, man.
You got an out. Okay. I got to let you guys in a second, but I want to get, I don't know, before we're going to get on this, I was like, wow, I'm going to talk to Chris Spealler right after I talked to Josh and Dan and Rich. And so it's just kind of walking down memory lane. On or about this day in 2012, the regional workouts were announced. Not too far away from this day in 2011, Josh Bridges did Fran in 202, made a big splash. You guys think, just give me, we're in 2020. And I don't know, you guys have been in this game since, as far as I'm concerned, the beginning, at least, as the CrossFit Games are concerned. I just love to hear 1 or 2 favorite memories because lots of people don't get to see you 3 chit-chat in the same place at the same time.
Shoot, go. Someone go.
I think for me, one of my favorite memories with Josh is push-pull under the lights. He did beat me, but it was still a really fun, kind of both of us. I didn't really expect it to be between me and him for the win. And so that was pretty cool. And then
he's saying he was saying he thinks he'd beat somebody else, so it's not a big deal.
No, honestly, with the strict handstand push-ups, I didn't think I'd be there. So and then another one of my favorites actually is with Dan at Camp Pendleton, because we're talking in the beginning, we're like, hey, we'll do the first part together, and then maybe at the end we'll push and whatever. So the mountain, and Dan's like, peace. And so I end up walking up the entire hill. Then about, 2-3 miles down the hill, every once in a while I hear Dan screaming, my calf. His calf's cramping up. And I'm like, I walk by, I'm like, hey, Dan. He's like, hey, Rich. I don't know, for some reason, that's it just sticks out in my memory as one of the games moments, one of my favorites. So,
Dan, do you love that one or hate that one?
Yeah.
It's a funny, that's a good one. I mean, I couldn't, there's nothing I could do about it. Like every step I was taking, my calf was cramping and I'm like 2 miles. And now Rich is going to pass me. And I'm just like, yeah, go ahead. Like I don't
Rich
even
passing me on an endurance event.
Ignore this. But I have a rebuttal to that as one of my favorite. But yeah, no, two of my favorite memories. One is going to be Josh's least favorite memory, the fact that I won the 2011 CrossFit Games Open.
So cheap.
Always stick
so cheap.
That was
For
the
fans
first,
that don't know, that's a good one to go back and watch.
Take that one to the grave. I did that last workout like 4 times in 2 days. I earned that one. And then my second favorite one, I guess, or one of the ones that sticks out into my head always, is I hadn't met Rich yet at this point. We kind of met in 2011. We were on the bus together, like going down to the beach. And he's like, hey, how many oceans do you have in Ohio? I'm like, about as many as you have in Tennessee. So I'm about as prepared for this as you. And we had like the ocean swim. You get out and run a mile, do a bunch of pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, or pull-ups and squats, and then run another mile. And I can remember coming around on the run, and I think
walking insane.
Josh, you beat me. Spealler beat me, and Zach Forrest. I'm like, okay, 2 Navy SEALs and Chris Spealler beat me. That's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. And then but coming around, I remember watching Rich walking through the sand, like walking on the run with his head down, shaking it. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to beat this guy this weekend. Like, he's got no chance.
How'd that go for the rest
guy's
of the
already
weekend?
walking on a
Worked out well, right?
How'd the rest of
and then he won 4 years in a row. So, but yeah, that was one of my favorite memories. And then getting to train with these 2 guys for, 2 or 3 seasons in a row exclusively was, I mean, that's untouchable. You can't touch those memories down in Cookeville, Tennessee, out in San Diego and all that. So,
moral of the story is don't judge a book by the way it walks on the beach.
That's right. I do enjoy long walks on the beach,
Who doesn't, right?
Just have
and
a good
on
time.
pavement, I do that too. So
I think the thing happened in the 333. You were in front of me, and then I passed you on the run, and I heard you go like, as soon as I ran by.
All I remember from 11 was every time. I feel like every time we had an open water swim, you breathe on your right, I believe whatever it was. We always locked eyes every time we'd go to breathe. You're just looking at each other in the eyes. So
we came out of the water at the same time on every event.
Yeah. And we both sucked at swimming. So
all right, Josh, you're up.
Yeah, for me, like the push pull CrossFit event memory was really cool. I had no idea how the workout would really go. I didn't know how the sleds were going to be, how they were going to feel. To be honest, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do very well at this workout at all. And to have that, like, that was the last time I think, we went head to head, because that was your last year. Yeah, that was
my last year.
Yep. As an individual. And so, yeah, that was such a cool event. That whole year for me, 14 was by far there. I mean, in the back, I mean, I had a great time. It was by far my favorite year of any of the games, where like we actually had become friends at that point, and we were laughing and joking in the back a ton and, making fun of each other all the time. And so that was a good time. Nah, doesn't sound like us at all.
Nah, dude.
I mean, nah, dude. Yeah, and then with favorite moment with Dan, I think, when he came here and trained here, and left that stain on my couch. It's one of my favorite moments. My favorite part about Dan is the fact that he trained here for how many years, Dan? 3, 2?
Maybe, I think 2, 14 and 15.
And I bet we did 3 workouts together. Yeah, Dan would come over to my house and train on his own. He would do his own thing in the corner. That's my favorite part. The
reason that I would have to do that is
he's just going to be him.
We were snatching and Mason and I were snatching with Josh. And
I don't believe this.
We get to
go ahead.
7 pounds or whatever it is, and we're all snatching, and everyone hits.
Probably way lighter than that.
Josh does not hit the weight. He goes again, fails, goes again. I can see the boiling happening in his face. Like I'm like, it's about to pop. Like it's about to happen. He misses it again. I think he just pulls it on the last one. Doesn't even go to put it up overhead. And belt goes chucked out the garage door. Weights get ripped off the bar. Barbell kicked across the floor. And I look at Mason. I'm like, I guess we're done lifting.
That's right.
My
Snatching
toys.
is over. Snatching is over forever.
Man, I think I saw Trice do that today.
Dude, that's fine, man.
Like, Josh, I'll be back in a week. I gotta go finish this snatch session here on the boat somehow.
Sounds like Trice is gonna be a killer athlete.
That's right.
I don't want to, but I'm obligated to let you guys go. Would you like to give a social distance high five to Chris Spealler? I'll bring him in real quick before you guys take off.
Do it.
You guys want to say hi to Chris?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. It takes a couple seconds here, but Chris is now entering the room, and you guys get a good look at the man recovering.
Look at that.
Chris
is.
Hey, Chris.
We're walking down memory lane, buddy. So we thought we would bring you in before these guys left, just at least to say a quick hello and high five.
Yeah, virtual high fives these days.
How's everything going, buddy?
You sounded
dang, man.
Yeah. Great.
The fact that you're not wearing your legend shirt right now is
right.
Like, you are the ultimate legend. You've now beat COVID. Like, good grief.
On the way out. Yeah. How are you guys doing? Jeez.
Better now.
Man,
we're better than you, man. Yeah, heck yeah, man. Sorry, bro.
Hey.
All right.
Glad you're feeling better though.
I'm gonna kick these guys out, Chris. They just want to say hey, and gentlemen, tune into the YouTube channel and listen to Chris's story. It's pretty fantastic from what I heard today.
Chris, get better, brother.
Yeah, buddy, feel better.
Better, man.
See you, brother.
Let's see.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Take care. Chris Spealler, buddy.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend? I mean, I think that the world already knows. I've kind of given him I've teed him up, but I listened to your Instagram live today. It was what an amazing story that you've got to share, and there was some really, really what I think are important messages in there. So I want to catch up, and I mean, shoot, the last time I saw you, who knows, or even got to have a good long chat with you. But I think the important stuff is to tell people your most recent experience, and we'll kind of dig in on what you took away from it.
Sure. I mean, do you want me to just kind of give you the goods on how it started, or what happened?
Well, I think just tell, people are just tuning in right now. Tell them what happened.
Yeah. So I guess in short, I started experiencing like a light cough. This is after we closed the gym, praise God, it was after that. We didn't have to worry about anybody else being at risk, but we had closed the gym, and about a few days later, I got the dry cough thing, and it really wasn't a big deal, but then started experiencing shortness of breath. Had no exposure to anybody that had COVID to my knowledge. So I really have no idea where I would have gotten it from, but in that time frame was basically hanging out with the family, but trying to have some distance, not snuggling with the kids at night, not snuggling on the couch, try to have some distance.
And do me a favor, because I think that people are one of two places. Maybe they're watching from internationally and they had a completely different experience, and maybe they've been watching from China. And theoretically their curve is flattened, or maybe they're watching from one of the states that still doesn't even have social distancing protocols in place. So at this place, where was your head? Were you like, it doesn't matter if I get COVID, or and not in a judgmental way? But, some people are like, tell me where your head was at.
Like I was pretty calm. The shortness of breath thing is what really started to create the concern. It wasn't crazy, but it was enough to be concerning. And I ended up going in to get a test. They have like this hotline through my family doctor, which kind of walked through that system and process, and was able to go get a test. And it took me a couple of days to hear back, just because that's where the testing is right now. And 2 days later that I was positive. So pretty much right away went downstairs and did the self-quarantine thing, wife and kids upstairs. And at that point, during that little window is probably when I started feeling some of the worst with the shortness of breath, and never had a fever. I never had any body aches. It was all this cough, fatigue, and shortness of breath. And then 5 days later, my wife, Sarah, started showing symptoms. So she had been upstairs with the kids. She and the kids got tested. Her test came back positive. And before we found that out, we talked to the health department, and she came downstairs. I went upstairs to try to take care of the kids. So there's just like a huge dynamic with a family of 4 and little kids, and they're being homeschooled. And I mean, you name it, so it was really hard.
I think that, excuse me, when I heard you speaking earlier, something that jumped out is because we can all associate with this. The information changes not just daily, but almost hourly. And so
100%.
for someone who was actually, diagnosed as having the virus, what was that like? Getting different answers from different people at different times.
That was probably the hardest part as a family, because I couldn't just be like, oh, I'll stay at home and, not be around anyone. I'll just whatever. So when I got tested, I had actually started to feel better. When I went to get tested, I was like, oh, maybe I'm coming out of something. Got tested, started to feel worse. And then when we found out, I was kind of in this limbo, climbing out of it, but was still downstairs for 5 days. But at the time, that was 17 for 14 days. And then a day later, it was, 7 days from the onset of symptoms, and you shouldn't have a fever for 72 hours, which I never had, and you should be feeling better. So they were kind of using that as a guideline, which is why I went upstairs to take care of the kids, because then my wife, Sarah, started feeling bad and she upstairs. But then kids started showing some symptoms, and even though their test came up negative, the health department said, hey, you got to treat them as they're positive. But how do you separate a 10 and an 8-year-old? Like, do you keep them in their own rooms? You've got to try to, rough.
And speaking to that as a parent too, whose kids or someone who has not been, we're practicing social distancing.
Yeah.
But I let the kids go on bike rides, and it's this weird kind of mentality of like, are they going to police them? Like, do I need to fly my drone over the top of them? And like, so it's a very difficult situation as an adult to wrap your head around, much less my kids, as you know, are the exact same age as yours. Got 8 and a 10-year-old. And it's a really difficult thing to discuss and to explain, like, the gravity of the situation, make sure that they really get it and they understand how serious you are. Without message earlier that really resonated with me was to not live in fear, but don't be naive.
Yeah.
Which I want to hear you speak to, but especially for a kid, man, that's a very hard line to walk and to explain.
Oh, 100%. And that's probably was the most difficult thing with that situation, is how do I handle this with kids while I'm upstairs trying to recover, trying to make sure that they're apart, because one of them was showing symptoms, the other wasn't, but do they have it? And we don't want to panic, but checking to make sure their temperature's good. And then there's talk of, well, can I get it again? Or could it be worse? Or can I, but they've got to have a parent around. So it was, it was really challenging for sure.
And I'm really curious to hear you talk about this. Obviously your public personality and people look up to you, and you're, fantastic coach and people, follow your training. And so you're out there all the time, but you're not obligated to share this. Like, why was it important for you to kind of tell people about this, share it, and let them kind of interact with you about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I waited for 3 weeks, sort of for, I guess, on purpose. One, I didn't want to freak anybody out at the gym locally. I wanted to make sure that I had done kind of the due diligence there, and I told anybody that needed to, and thankfully no one was at risk. And then because there's so much uncertainty around the virus, what's crazy is, like, my symptoms were different than Sarah's, and hers are different than other people that we know that were hospitalized. I have friends that have been in the hospital on ventilators. I have other people that have had really mild symptoms, so there's such this broad scope of this that I wanted to at least be kind of climbing out of the hole a little bit. But I actually talked to Sherwood a couple days ago, and he's a good friend of mine. And I let him know, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, I know has it. And he was cool. He said, I know there's a lot of like pros and cons. You could probably fill them up. But he said, if you did tell people publicly, it might just be an eye opener that even people that have a pretty stout level of fitness, you're not immune to this thing, and take it seriously. And it's not a cold. It's not just this like, oh, healthy people are going to be immune to it or bomb proof. It is no joke. It's not something to be walking around in fear about, but it is, it's a serious thing. People got to do their part to make sure that they're taking care of themselves and the people around them.
Yeah. And I love the message because it's hugely important. I think until you do have someone that and we have friends who had contracted it. Whoa, once you get that personal connection and it's no longer ethereal or, just some sort of concept, it hits a little bit closer to home. So yeah, how has that kind of changed how you're, I don't know, making recommendations to people?
Yeah, sure. And I think, from the start, I've been really supportive of gyms closing and doing our part. I think that's a lot of it. I think for me, and I even told people in the gym this, I said, hey, we're closing our doors. I said, I'm not worried about like anybody here getting it and anything serious happening because we're healthy. And, I said, I want to do our part to take care of those that maybe don't have like a super strong immune system. And, whether that's because of pre-existing conditions or whatever, our parents that are elderly, whatever. But I guess my encouragement to you guys now is just, even with social distancing and even with doing all the right stuff, which is what we were doing, you just got to be aware of it and don't walk around freaked out. But it's it's not just like this cold that I kind of thought. I thought, oh, if the healthy people, it'll just be an inconvenience. But the more it's out to me, after telling them today, they've been like, wow, I'm glad you said something. I've had some really serious side effects from it or other things. And people just need to, one of the things that I said earlier is I think our community in particular, especially in times like this, we really feel like we just want to like do a bunch more work, or we have more time on our hands. So we just want to light our hair on fire with workouts. But remember, your training should be making you guys healthy, and that's a stress on your body, which is good because stress on your body can give you an adaptation. But when you have a lot of other stress going on, maybe financial stress or things going on with a family dynamic or the quarantine or what it is, you're kind of adding another stress on top. And if you guys need to take it easy for a day, take it easy for a day. If you need to take the clock off, take the clock off. If you need to skip a day, skip a day. We just need to all support one another and get through this so that we're healthy on the other side.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you really drive that home too, right? Like spell it out very clearly for people because I'm sure, gosh, you were a coach when I started coaching. And so you've been doing this long enough to know that that's probably one of the hardest things to do before a crisis like this comes up is to slow people down or save them from themselves. So I think that message really resonates as well. And in fact, like I was looking at your Instagram, I think it might even have been before this, but you did a post where you spoke the drip mentality. Yeah. And it was maybe a little bit of a pivot off of this, but I'd love to hear you kind of speak to that as well. Maybe we'll start moving into you as an affiliate owner and how you're kind of navigating these times.
Yes. So mostly that mentality is just as we try to serve our community, everyone's adjusting. So I've got a couple thoughts. People talk about this big pivot, right? And pivoting to online model and Zoom stuff. And I'm 100% on board because I think that's like really important to support our community, keep people moving, engage with them. They need that. But I also hear people talking about like, hey, this is going to be a new revenue stream when we're done and this and that. And people want community. They want to be inside the walls of your gym, throwing down with their friends. And like, so for the affiliate owners out there, yes, do that stuff, but don't put all your eggs in that basket. This is just my opinion, because people are going to be so hungry to be back. So when they come back, like be ready, be better than ever as a coach, as a training staff, as a program, whatever you guys have going on. And in the meantime, this drip mentality, because I think I've been telling a lot of people, especially locally for us, what we've seen here is we kind of followed the school. I know you get it with kids. It's like, all of a sudden the school gets delayed another 2 or 4 weeks, and we're not going to be open before a school's open. That's for sure. So I don't think our kids are going to be going back to school. So I think the earliest we would be back in our gym in Park City is probably June, and that would be the early side. So the drip mentality is more, instead of giving your clients like a fire hose of information and a fire hose of things, these 10 different accessory classes that you can do and these 50 different Zoom times you can do, trying to do is every 2 weeks add another small thing in. So have it be like a 30-minute stretching or mobility class, and then 2 weeks later we drop in a 30-minute kind of like buys and tries class and have it be fun. And another 2 weeks we'll come up with another idea. So doing these things with kind of that drip mentality, engage our members and help those people feel part of the community, and maybe get some more coming to the Zoom classes that maybe not would have in the past.
It's fantastic, and it's logical and well thought out in a time when
Thank
people
you.
are a bit panicky and really trying to patch a lot of holes, which I also can totally appreciate and I sympathize with hugely. So what are some of those things though? If people were to even choose to learn from a master, and perhaps there's some things that could be incorporated, or perhaps they're just unique to Park City, but I would love to hear how you guys have, what tools you have used to help keep serving your membership and keep people informed.
Yeah, obviously the Zoom classes are, I would say, almost a no-brainer for you guys to do that. We took ours and condensed them. So typically we run 6 classes a day. Now we're just running 3 Zoom classes, and the purpose there is to kind of condense things so we get more people engaged. We are going to kind of shift things to later, because probably like most people, they're starting to wake up way later. 8:30 class is like now the 5 a.m. class. So we're moving things around a little bit. I think anytime that you can show people that you're doing what they're doing, or post Facebook Live video that you can save and post on later on as a coach or trainer, anytime that you can join the Zoom class that others are teaching, I think is really helpful. And then aside from that, we've seen some really cool stuff with the affiliates that do the programming that we offer. Everything from like cool like bingo challenges to team things to scavenger hunts to, you name it. It depends a little bit on what their dynamic is and what the lockdown's like. But we have some people in Spain that are like really stuck in their homes, and it's been awesome to see what they've done and ways that they've engaged their community. And some of it might even just be like a time to have coffee with your members. It doesn't have to be around fitness. Just be engaged.
It's your point before. People are going to be craving to get back in the gym because it's really the community element of it that, like we used to always say, it's like they come for the fitness, they stay for the community. It is the unique aspect of what people bring to affiliates.
100%. And I think that's why so many gyms have the potential to make it through this, is because people want to come back. It's not like hey, we just closed our doors and stopped memberships. People want to support. So we're just trying to be really flexible. We went to this essentially a donation-based membership, but the way we did it is, instead of missing communication, we left our membership going, and we let everybody know through every we could, hey, memberships are still going because we want to support our landlord. He needs to make money too. He needs to, like, if we don't pay him, he's in a bind. So we're all trying to support one another. We just let them know, if you need to put things on hold, if you need to pause, if you want to pay half, like whatever, just want to support you with that. And people, of course, have reached out and been like, hey, we need to do this. And it's like, all right, we're not going to boot you from the community. It's just, we're going to all take our breath here over the next 1-3 months, whatever it is, and come out stronger on this thing.
In some ways, this may be harder to answer and maybe somewhat hypothetical, so I apologize.
It's all right.
But you also train competitive athletes as well. What are you telling those guys where they're seeing the same uncertainties that we are, but in terms of like a competition season or schedule, there's just a grenade that's been thrown, and there's really no telling when they'll get to compete again?
Yeah, it's funny, as over the years, so much of the online programming that I offer, it's really shifted toward the general population, which I think is probably due to like my passion, as I've kind of leaned into riding my dirt bike and skiing. So we really only have a very, very few amount of those, and most of them are just general population, everyday people. So it's been more about, again, them offering a ton of options for them, lots of information. But the people that have reached out, there's obviously a lot of uncertainty, but I do think it would be foolish, obviously, if you're staying healthy with the training volume, it'd be foolish to throw everything out that people have worked for thus far, right? So even though there's a time of unknown and uncertainty, I have no insight to this. I would be surprised if there was not some kind of CrossFit games or form of that in some way or another this year.
Sure.
Whether it's online or whether it's pushed back. So relax, don't get all balled up, stay focused on one day at a time. And that's really all we can do right now for all of us, really.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm not surprised to hear that you're geared towards more everyday athletes, and it's cool to hear you talking about balance of lifestyle as well. It used to be a joke almost, right? Like you tired the first time we literally made what was the video we called it? What am I going to do with all this fitness?
Yeah.
So how is that balance coming, man? It's a really interesting journey, because I'm sure that you are still a supremely fit human being. I'm sure that you don't put the hours into the gym that you used to, but I'm sure it's still hard to reconcile those two things.
It was for a long time, and I'm telling you what, guys, it is so good on the other side of some of your peak fitness. But the trade out for the lifestyle that I get to live now, once you start to do that, that is gym tops an hour tops, and that's including my old man warm up and getting a workout in and maybe some accessory work. But the rest of the time, like, here's the thing is, I think people just forgot, right? And it's okay. Like we all go through this cycle of CrossFit, I think, where we do it and we love it, we want to do it more, so we do it more, and then we pop in on a competition or whatever. But we forget that, like, you guys that do this frequently, you have a privilege, and the privilege is that you can go do almost anything you want at any time you want, and you don't have to train for it. Like, I went and did the Idaho City 100 on a dirt bike, and I finished it. I ran a marathon without training for it, and I finished it. Like, we're not going to win these things, but you guys need to go and, like, celebrate the fact that you can do that. And I think people forgot, like, you have worked hard, and now go experience it. Like, go sign up for the 5K, do the trail run, go to the Tough Mudder, go to an Olympic lifting meet. I don't care. Like, do whatever, like, live life outside the gym and let that fitness
and
serve
what you're
you.
not saying is go do another smaller competition that's CrossFit, and go do another medium size, go do something else completely.
Yeah. And if you're in that space still where we love doing that stuff, awesome, do that. But ask yourself the question, revisit that every 6 months or every year, and be like, is this what I want? Because I think people forget what they want, and all of a sudden they're in this kind of, this vortex where they get sucked into something that they think they have to do. Here's, like, guys, go live outside, thrive.
Yes. It's such a first world problem, and I'm almost embarrassed to share it with you, but you might know about it already. But one of the biggest personal effects, I guess you could say, was like yesterday, my Google Calendar alerted me that it was the day I was supposed to leave to go meet the Chans in France and do the Haute Route.
Yes.
And it was like the biggest heartbreak, but things like that,
Yes.
Message received, and I couldn't agree more. It's like, get out and ski, get out and sport, get out and play with your kids.
Yes.
See what all that fitness does for you that you gained.
100%. Yeah.
So I got to ask then, like, how was this?
Man, it was good until they closed the resorts. I mean, all that got shut down. But yeah, I got a number of good days in, and it's cool. I do some work for Ski Utah, so I do some writing for them and some blogs, and I have the ability to kind of resorts. And the mountains, they just stolen my heart. So it's anytime I can get out in them and play, it's just, yeah,
I do.
it's hard to
I do.
beat the feeling of skiing and paddle.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I want to leave people on a positive note before I let you take off. And
Yeah.
you did have some kind of messages of hope earlier. You mentioned specific Bible verses in Philippians, I think, but I don't know that you actually said what they were. I'd just be interested to hear. Well, one, almost been through the worst case scenario. So how did you? What kind of tools did you use, and encouraging people to use when they are feeling maybe huge amounts of anxiety, stress, whatever the case may be?
So for me, and wherever you guys are on this journey, like, I pass no judgment. I care about the same. For me, my relationship with Christ has been like an anchor forever. As I've gone through competition, even as a young kid, like dealing with stress and competitions, and that's what I believe people will find the most peace in. And Philippians is a really cool book. A guy, Paul, wrote it. And this guy, Paul, he wrote a bunch of the letters, and then he actually wrote it from prison. So he was in prison, chained to a wall.
You guys are kindred spirits, I see.
I know, right? Yeah, Paul was quarantined. And it's really cool. He's writing basically a letter to a church that he helped start. And it's a group of people that he really cares about and he really loves a ton, and you can tell. And they are in a really compromised place as well, where they've got persecution happening to them, and there's authority over them through the Roman Empire. And he's encouraging them. And two things. It's only 4 chapters. You got to check it out. Read it like a book, and there's 2 sections in there that really resonated with me. In chapter 3, it talks about how Paul, in him knowing Christ, it surpassed everything else. So everything that he gained from essentially his previous life, or whatever he had gained, he counted as loss, because him knowing Christ was that important and that awesome to him. And it was a good reminder for me, even though I'd been stripped of stuff and not even close to what other people have. But even though I had been stripped of certain things that I found identity with, it didn't matter compared to knowing Christ. And then the other one is really cool. It's really cool. It's in chapter 4, and it says, rejoice in the Lord always. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. And then this is the part that I think is really cool. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And what that made me reminded of again was, in that verse, God's not promising to answer my prayer. He's not promising to heal me. But what he is promising is that his peace, which transcends our understanding, will be there. And that's what I experienced. And for those people that are maybe searching for that, or if you find that helpful, talk to him, because he's waiting. He's And the last kind of thought, there's another Bible verse that says perfect love casts out all fear. And a lot of people are living in fear right now, and perfect love, which comes from Jesus Christ, is what casts out that fear. And if we rest in that, it's a continual thing that I have to do. We don't have to be afraid.
Love it, man. I love it.
Thanks, bro.
And thank you for sharing your wisdom. To say that I miss you, it's an understatement, dramatic understatement.
Yeah, man. I
know that a lot of people are cleaning things out, so I have to share with you. I found today in the garage.
Yes.
This is a panel from the original Update Show desk.
No way! Look at Chan. Yes, that is so
look at this
cool.
guy right
hey,
here,
look at that shit good. The Terminator.
It was post like the headphone era.
So great, man. That's great. Really
That's going
cool.
on the wall somewhere soon. But
I love it, dude.
My brother, it has been good with you. I'm sure people love hearing your voice. I'm so happy that you're healthy, and love to the family, and we'll be thinking about you guys. And honestly, thank you for sharing the story, because I think, like I said, it puts a personal touch on it. And to your point about not living in fear, but not being naive, like, you are a perfect person to say that. Like, fitter than I could ever hope to be, and still certainly not immune to this thing. So a million thanks.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care, Ryan.
All right, my friends. Moving on. This has been really special for me. So I don't know if you guys, how long you've been fans of the sport, or how long you've been involved in the community, but all four individuals that we've spoken to so far, near and dear to my heart as a person and as a commentator for the sport. And next guest is actually a representative from Born Primitive. His name is Bear Handlon, and they have done some pretty amazing work here with the United in Movement and really just in general as we're going through this. So Bear, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's up, Rory? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for joining me.
Heck yeah. Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
It's been a fun night so far. Like we just had Chris Spealler on the phone. We had the good dudes earlier. So I appreciate getting a chance to talk to you as well. From what I understand, Born Primitive came in a big way as soon as this crisis kind of reared its ugly head. And I would love to hear about some of the initiatives that you guys have kind of put forward and
yeah, absolutely. So we started off, we proceeds back to Meals on Wheels. That was kind of just to get started. We were donating 10% back. And as we were doing that, I was thinking, we were born in this space, in the CrossFit and fitness scene, and our brand wouldn't exist if it weren't for the community. I mean, just talking with some of our friends who are gym owners, we realized how bad they were hurting and assumed, okay, this probably is across the board with the CrossFit community. So we actually joined forces with O2. It was actually Dave's idea from O2, and they were doing a profit proceeds thing with them. And he texted me and said, hey, do you guys want to get on board with this? And I actually, thought it was a brilliant idea. So what we did is we launched a 10-day campaign where we called it the Gym Stimulus. And for 10 days, 50% of our profits for all participating gyms were going back to those gyms. So we made like 8,000 promo codes, one for every gym, sent it to them. And then they had the opportunity to promote their members. And if the members shopped using that code, 50% of all those profits went back. So it was just kind of hey, let's test this out, see what happens. And it kind of caught on like wildfire. It was actually pretty wild, the response we got. And, even more so just getting the messages every day from like coaches and owners, like the DMs and the emails, just thanking us for what we're doing. That definitely reaffirmed, we were doing the right thing. And it was cool to see it build momentum throughout the week. And it just ended. We were able to raise over 180.
Oh.
Yeah. It was,
Nice.
It's wild. We're not that big of a company. We got 14 employees, family owned business. So, you know what, we're not Reebok and Nike. So that's a massive number for us
Absolutely.
to be able to donate back. It's going to create an administrative nightmare, reaching out to all these gyms, but we got the team prepped and we're already rocking and rolling on that. So super cool opportunity. Our brand started pretty tiny and we've grown every year, but we've lived in this space the whole time. So we've grown with it. And that's why I think we kind of felt obligated to do what we can. And it was super cool to see other brands, doing their own thing. Everyone's kind of doing something a little different. But the common theme is there, and that's everyone getting on board with this and doing what they can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, congratulations, because it's a huge success, and thank you on behalf of everyone, because it's also tremendously giving of you guys. And I think there are a lot of companies who are doing stuff, but I wouldn't say that everyone is. So I would give yourself more credit than that. And I would love to hear more about Born Primitive, actually, because it sounds as if you give a lot of credit to the community. You kind of said like you guys grew alongside of it. So tell me more about the brand for people who are not familiar.
Yeah, so we started about 6 years ago. I actually stumbled into a CrossFit gym. I was actually getting ready to join the military. Thought it'd be a good thing to do. I was kind of hearing about it with this CrossFit thing, and then was able to actually compete at the game later with a team. I got lucky. I rolled into a really good competitive gym, and I got to jump in on their team. I didn't know
so
what
much luck gets you there. So give yourself some credit.
But I didn't know what the games was. We went out to Carson. The regionals was cool, and I was like, yeah. So what's next? Oh, we go to games, and I was like, cool. So we went out to the games and competed, and I got to love the CrossFit scene and the space we were in. So we decided to launch the brand, and started just throwing a card table in the Jeep and going to gyms. Any little CrossFit event within 5 hours on the weekends, we were going to them, selling T-shirts on a card table. So, that was about the first 2-3 years. And then we started going to the games as vendors and our women's line, and have just kind of grown organically with the with the community ever since. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a
The
blast.
competitive days are behind you though?
Yeah. I still do it regularly, but I have to check my ego at the door. Not putting up the numbers I used to when we used to be training, 5-6 hours a day, 6 days a week. So that of course is not sustainable now.
Yeah.
But a good hour and a half, I'm happy with the effort. So temper the expectations a little bit.
Good for you. Good for you. So what's next for you guys? I mean, it sounds like you were surprised by the success of this program. Where do you go from here?
So we actually just launched our United in Movement collection too. We joined forces with you guys, and I got to give credit to Loud and Live for spearheading this right off the bat. I know, obviously there's a lot of players involved now, but Matt O'Keefe and the guys down there, immediately went to work. We had a Zoom call a couple weeks ago that literally had, you might have been on it, there was literally like 400 people on it, and I was just scrolling through the attendees, and it was just super cool to see all the big players from the scene getting in on it, and kind of all hands on deck approach. So we created that collection. It's just a custom sports bra, a booty short, a women's tank top, and then a men's t-shirt and a men's training short. And 100% of the net proceeds from that collection will go back to United in Movement, who of course is going to distribute those funds and help with the efforts. So pretty cool designs. It's the kind of play on the arrow design that I'm sure you all have seen with the branding. So it's available on the site now. We're going to do a little bit more promotion this week to get the word out. Everything goes back. So if you want to shop for a good cause and shop guilt-free, good way to do it.
Yeah, I love it. This is obviously most of us who were, I agree with you. Matt O'Keefe is a force of nature, obviously. But it was a pretty hard thing not to get on board with. But it's not, it's sort of built into the DNA of the CrossFit community, right? Is to, as soon as there's a cause that we need to get behind, people rally to it. Why are you guys drawn to things like this? Because it sounds like fits perfectly what you guys are all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much built into the DNA of our company. We had to do more than just sell apparel. Anybody can do that, and we got to stand for something and try to be a force for good when we can. So that's been a big part of who we've been since the beginning. Obviously, as we've grown, it's given us a platform to be able to do that more aggressively, like we just did. But that mindset has always been there, even if it was in the first year and we're, maybe giving $500 to a, local charity or something for a fundraiser or something like that. Our reach has grown, and it's given us the ability to make that more significant. But the belief has been there from day one, and we're really proud to be able to do that.
As well you should be, man. And on behalf of everybody at United in Movement and honestly community wide, it sounds like that amount of money is a huge amount that you guys have raised. So I thank you and congratulate you guys on that success, and I look forward to seeing what we all can do together as well.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've been burning the candle at both ends too, doing this. So we surely appreciate it. Yeah, that's right. We appreciate y'all's efforts as well. And we're just glad to be a small part of it.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Well, much more to come. So looking forward to the next one. And if we can do anything, let us know. But I really appreciate you making the time.
Thanks, brother.
Take care, later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the package has been delivered. My daughter is making sure that I know all about it. And some of you guys are probably feeling the same thing, working from home. What we're going to do right now, that we have one final guest that we're going to bring on. And his name is Joe Barcy. He is a representative, I think the owner of Cow Giant Berry Farms, and came on in a big way to support United in Movement. Excited to hear from Joe for a number of reasons, but mostly because he motivated me over the weekend to eat dessert in the middle of the day. Hey, Joe, how are you, my friend? Welcome. Looks like we might need to flip your audio on. You got me? There might be a little, we're having a little technical difficulties here, Joe. So maybe click the join with computer audio. This is like every Zoom meeting that's ever happened so far. So don't worry. I think it's a common theme around the world these days as we all move online. All right, we'll give it one more try. You know what, Joe? Try and give us a call back. I'm gonna take Joe off, and we'll see if he calls back in. Thank you guys for with us. We've really as a unit, a bunch of people from many different places have come together in order to bring you guys the content that we had over the weekend, and even now, as we're up to date on what's going on. We are rounding $1,000. We're $190,000 for the United in Movement. We're on day 4 of the 7 workouts. So I'd love to hear from you guys if you're doing the workouts at home, how you're liking them, where you're doing them. I'm following the hashtag United in Movement. Really enjoyed seeing like the creativity that's gone into it, things that I never expected to see, and inspiration, quite honestly, because it's easy to not work out. If we're being honest, it's easy to lose motivation. It's easy to make excuses, especially in times like this, when there's strange days and you're off your regular schedule. You're not able to do what's had planned, and it's been hugely motivational to be a part of a group and to see what you guys are doing and to play along with you as well. Unfortunately, it looks like Joe is not going to be able to join us. And but you know what, we're gonna do this again on Thursday. So if you get the content, hopefully you've followed the channel already, subscribe to it, because we're gonna keep on putting out content for United in Movement. And we're loving having you guys involved, and this is a community effort. It wouldn't happen without you guys. So all my love, all my thanks. That was a special couple of guests for me. I haven't talked to Chris Spealler in far too long, and then to have all the good dudes in one place at one time, just I don't know. If you're new to the community and you don't know who Chris Spealler is, you're crazy. Look him up. He's an absolute legend, and actually has a fantastic book published as well that's got a lot of CrossFit Games insight. That's going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing fantastic. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're all staying at home. And until the next time, this is me saying goodbye.